back to Arkham Horror on the Dragon Table. I have played a little bit farther into the game so you can see what it's like when things get a little bit more complicated. We have 3 gates on the board out of our total possible maximum of 6. We currently have 4 monsters out of a maximum of 3, and we have 1 monster that made it to the outskirts. Because I had 2 monster surges in a row. And a monster surge happens when you draw a Mythos card and the location where it says to put a gate, there's already a gate there. If that happens, then you have to put out either as many monsters as there are gates or as many monsters as there are investigators, depending on which is higher. And you spread them evenly amongst the gates that are on the table. And then you move them. And I had a lot of monsters, so I ended up with 1 in the outskirts, which isn't too bad. So Joe, our private eye, is currently the first player, and he has 6 clues. And Jenny's got 5 clues. Michael's only got 2, and Mandy's got 5 clues. And Jenny also still has her elder sign because she has not gotten all the way through one of the otherworld locations yet. I should mention that each of these investigators has their own special ability. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning, but what the hey. I'm just going to assume that you're watching all these videos and we're just going to get to it now. Mandy Thompson has one of the best abilities in the entire game. If you're playing a game for the first time, or you're playing a game with new people, if you're playing with a lot of people, I highly recommend that you bring Mandy along. She's great. Her special ability is any phase, once per turn, Mandy can activate this ability, which is research, after any investigator, including herself, makes a skill check. That investigator then re-rolls all of the dice rolled for that check that did not result in successes. And that is a fantastic ability because the entire game is primarily skill checks. That's what you're doing, is you're rolling dice against your skill to try and beat certain circumstances or monsters or gates, all sorts of stuff. So this is an extremely useful ability. The key is to learn when to use it and when not to use it. You don't want to use it when you've just drawn an encounter and it's a matter of, well, maybe they'll, they won't get 1 extra stamina or something. There's certain times when it's actually much more beneficial to use it than others, but you'll learn that as you play the game. Our private eye, Joe Diamond, has hunches. And on any phase, Joe rolls 1 extra bonus die when he spends a clue token to add to a roll. Because remember, that's the other thing you can do with clue tokens, aside from sealing gates, is you can pay a clue token to add a die to your skill check roll. If Joe uses a clue token to add a die, he actually gets to roll an extra die. So you can really make, if you have some extra clues to spend, you can really make good use of that. And I should point out that this does kind of coincide or work in conjunction with Mandy's ability, which allows you to re-roll any die that failed a skill check. And this applies to dice that are added using clue tokens. So if you're going to add clue tokens, do it before you do your re-roll. Because if you re-roll, you can re-roll all of the dice that you rolled, including the ones that you added for the clue tokens. Jenny's is pretty simple. She gets a trust fund baby, and she gets $1 during upkeep. Michael McGlenn has a strong body, and he reduces all stamina losses he suffers by 1 to a minimum of 0. That's very handy. It's already come into play in this game, which is why he's still at his maximum stamina of 7, because he did have a circumstance where he would have lost 1 stamina, but he didn't, because he has that ability. So it is Joe's turn. He is at the witch house. He has 6 clues. He has a lot of movement. Let's see. Right now, Michael is in the abyss, which is that gate over there. Jenny's at the plateau of Lang, which is this gate here. No one is in the gate that's at the unnameable, which is Great Hall of Solano, and has a Clothian sitting on it. the things that you also can start to think about once you have things like gate trophies and monster tokens is that you can spend them to get certain things. For instance, I could send Joe to the church. He could spend a gate trophy and bless someone, anybody in the party. Meaning that when they roll their dice and they need a success, it can be a 4, 5, or 6 instead of just a 5 or 6. Blessings are pretty awesome. So Joe can get to the church, and I think we're going to have him bless someone because it seems like it would be useful. Jenny is going to be coming out of the plateau, and she'll be using an elder sign to seal that gate. Michael McGlenn will be moving in the abyss, and we're going to leave his current settings where they are. Jenny gets $1 for upkeep because we're currently in the upkeep phase. She's got a lot of money. And Mandy is she's kind of stuck at Hibbs. There is one goat spawn blocking her path, which isn't too terrible. It might be worth her trying to take it out. It has physical resistance, which means that any physical weapon she uses would be halved. Physical immunity means that it would be useless. But a physical weapon would be halved. But she has one magical weapon and one physical weapon. So it might be worth her getting out of Hibbs and heading into East Town. So we'll probably do that. And see, it's -1 to will. And I have, right now it's sunny and clear. So sneak checks are -1 and will checks are +1 for now. So I'm going to leave her where she is on her little markers. And Joe is going to do his movement. So he's going to move down here to the church. Jenny is going to move out of the plateau of laying onto the gate. Now what this means is you put an adventurer token underneath the investigator to symbolize that they have been through both sides of the gate and have come out on the other side and are prepared to close the gate. If there was a monster here, she would not have to encounter it until the next turn. That's just one of the idiosyncrasies of the game. Otherwise, a lot of times you'd be fighting monsters every time you come out of a gate. You're immune to the monster noticing you when you're moving out of a gate that first time. If for some reason she doesn't succeed, if she was trying to actually roll to close the gate and didn't succeed and there was a monster there, she would have to deal with it the next time around. But she doesn't have to deal with it now, and there's no monster there anyways. So then Michael moves. He moves 1 in the abyss. Mandy, on the other hand, is going to take on a monster. She's going to take on this goat spawn. She has a will of 3. And it has -1 to horror checks, but it is currently sunny and clear, so will checks are made at a +1. So we get to roll 3 dice, which I'm going to roll below the camera here. And she succeeds. She rolls a 5. So she succeeds at the will check, and now she's got to fight it. She has a fight of 2. She has a magical weapon that adds 3. She has a revolver that would add 3, but because this creature has physical resistance, it's cut in half and rounded down. So she only gets 1 benefit, or 1 extra die from the revolver. Now, he's also a -2 to combat, so she's actually rolling 4 dice, and she needs 2 of them to be a success. And 2 of them are not a success, or 3 of them are not a success. Only 1 of them is a success. So she can use her own ability to re-roll all the dice that did not result in successes. So we'll save this 6, and she's going to re-roll the dice. There we go. So now we get another 6. And she beats this goat spawn and gets to save it as a trophy, which she could potentially spend later. Once you save up 5 points of toughness worth of monsters. See, this is I'll show you what she has so far. Right now she's got 3 toughness worth of monsters saved up because this one is a 1 and this one is a 2. Once she's got 5 of those saved up, she can spend them. And now we're back to Joe, and he gets to take his action. And he is not going to have a card interaction at the church because he's going to do what it says on the actual location, which is Blessing. Instead of having an encounter, you may spend 5 toughness worth of monster trophies or 1 gate trophy to have any investigator you choose be blessed. So he can turn in his gate trophy, and that would just go to the gate discard pile. And this blessing card can go on any player of his choice. And I think he might as well choose himself. Everyone else is doing pretty well. He's going to bless himself. And I put it right up there. Now during upkeep, you have to remember, and it doesn't happen this first upkeep after this turn, it will happen on the subsequent upkeeps. You roll a die, and if you roll a 1, you discard the blessing. So now we've got Jenny, and if we're going to say if she didn't have an elder sign, she would be trying to close this gate. You would use either lore or fight, and you'd have to roll against the gate. This gate at the Plateau of Langate is -1. So you'd subtract 1 from either your lore or your fight, whichever is higher, roll that number of dice, and if you get a success, then you get to close the gate. If you also have 5 clue tokens and turn them in, you seal the gate. But she has an elder sign, so she doesn't have to do any of that nonsense. She just loses 1 stamina and 1 sanity. This card gets returned to the box, so it gets taken out of play. You do not need to make a skill check or spend any clue tokens to seal the gate. And in addition, you remove 1 Doom token from the Ancient Ones track. So this is pretty excellent. I'm just going to put this off to the side. So the Adventurer token goes away. We're going to take a marker off of the Doom track. And we are going to seal this gate by flipping the Doom marker on the marker on one side is Doom, the other side is a seal, is an elder sign. So you put that there to seal it, and we now have 2 sealed gates. Yes. Now I also, since I closed this gate and it has a diamond symbol on it, any monsters that are out that have a diamond symbol on them would disappear. And I do not have any diamond monsters out, so she just gets to keep this as a trophy, and we'll move on. So Michael McGlenn is in the Abyss, which means he won't have an encounter until the Otherworld Encounters phase, and Mandy is stuck in Easttown Street, so she does not have an encounter. Her encounter was beating up the goat spawn. So now we go to Otherworld Encounters. We only have 1 investigator in the Otherworld. That's Michael. So he needs to draw a red or a blue card. Because he is in the Abyss. And he will draw until he gets one. There's a blue card. And the blue card lists the Dreamlands, Yuggoth, and Other. So obviously he is not in the Dreamlands, he's not in Yuggoth, so he's in Other. The strain is too much for your mind. Lose 1 sanity. So he's not really very sane to start with for some reason. So he is down to 2 sanity. But that's okay. Not the end of the world. Yet. We are playing Arkham Horror, so end of the world is a possibility. Now we move on to the Mythos phase. We do bottom of the card first. And we get a gate at the Witch House. Another gate to the Abyss, and we're going to get a monster from the bag of monsters. We get a zombie, which is fine. Zombies are easy to deal with. Okay, now it says any circle monsters move white. We don't have any circle monsters out. And any square or diamond monsters would move black. We don't have any diamond or square monsters out. And a clue appears at the Black Cave, which is great because it's sealed. And once a location is sealed, you cannot have a gate there. The only exception to that is if you get the expansion. I know at least in the Dunwich Horror expansion they have cards that are gate bursts and can cause a gate to come through even if there's an elder sign there. Terrible. And we have a headline. Rivertown residents take back streets. All monsters in the Rivertown streets or locations are returned to the cup. So where's Rivertown? Here's Rivertown. So all monsters in the streets or locations are returned to the cup. So it's just this one guy. That's fine. Because that's the star spawn. He's still been out. Nobody has yet chosen to deal with him since the beginning of the game. So he goes back in the bucket. Or the bag, I should say. I used to have a bucket. So it comes to second nature to say bucket. And now the first player token moves. And we move into the new upkeep phase. So we've got Jenny, who has a bunch of clues, and she also has a bunch of weapons, which is handy. She's also got an ally now, an Eric Colt, who gives her +2 speed, and she takes no sanity loss from the Nightmarish ability. Some of these monsters have extra abilities on them, not him, that will give them extra benefits. A monster that's Nightmarish will make you lose 1 sanity even if you win the horror check against them. So it might be in her best interest to maybe head into the abyss. We either can send her or we could send Joe. Joe's blessed, so he has kind of a better advantage. Let's see, how much would it take for her to get blessed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Which I could do. I could move her to the church and she could bless somebody. So I think maybe that's what we'll do with her because she's got a gate token now. Michael McGlenn is going to be moving out of the abyss. Now, there are 2 gates to the abyss currently on the board. There's one right here and there's one over there. If you're coming out of the gate, you do not have to come out of the same one that you went into if there are multiple ones from the same location out on the board. So we can choose whether he comes out of this gate or this gate. I think what we'll do is we'll have him come out of this gate because when he closes it, this monster will go away. Any monster sitting on a gate gets sucked in when you close the gate. So I think that's what we'll do is we'll have him come over and close this gate. He won't be able to seal it because he doesn't have enough clue tokens, but sometimes you just have to close gates. Mandy, does she want to deal with this Clothonian? Clothonian? Not really, he's kind of a jerk. And he doesn't move. So the Great Hall of Solano gate might sit there for a while. What would be better for her to do? I think maybe we'll move her to the Black Cave and she'll pick up that clue. Because although Jenny is sitting on a clue, some people play a house rule where if you start your turn with a clue, you can pick it up. But if you actually go by the rules, you can only pick up a clue if you end your movement turn where the clue is. So unless I keep Jenny here for this turn, she can't pick up this clue. That way it would be left there once she moved away. I kind of like the house rule of being able to pick them up, but I'm trying to play by the rules that come with the game. So if I move Jenny away from the Black Cave, the clue stays there. And I will just have Mandy swoop in and pick it up, is what will happen, and then she'll have an encounter there. Okay, so Jenny's going to take her turn, and she's going to move all the way down to here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we've got 2 investigators in the same location. If they wanted to, they could exchange items, they could exchange money, could not exchange clue tokens, cannot exchange blessings, allies, or gate tokens, or anything like that. Does she have anything that can help him? She kind of does. She has this knife that she's not using, and Joe could actually use it because he only has 1 weapon. He has this 45 automatic, which takes 1 hand. And now he has a knife which he can put in his second hand, so he can shoot and stab. And she still has these 3 weapons, so she can choose which to use when she's fighting. And her fight is not quite as high as his. But her will is higher. So now Michael moves, and he's going to come out of the abyss And we said we're gonna move him onto this gate so that hopefully he can close this gate and get rid of this monster. Even though it's only a zombie. Oh, I should have moved his rewind, and in my upkeep I meant to move his fight up one. And Mandy is moving into the Black Cave where she's going to pick up that clue that was left behind. And Joe, he doesn't have anything to give to Jenny. So he's going to go into the abyss through this gate. Ta-da. So now Jenny goes, and she is going to turn in her gate trophy to bless someone, and I'm guessing she's going to bless herself because she's just that kind of girl, and she is. She's going to bless herself. Now remember, during upkeep we will roll for these. We didn't roll for upkeep, or we didn't roll for Joe's blessing during the last upkeep because it was the first turn that he had the card, and you don't roll for it during that turn. But the next upkeep we'll roll for his. The subsequent upkeep will roll for hers. So now, Michael's going to attempt to seal or close this gate. He can't seal it. He's got 6 fight, and the gate is a -2. So he'll be rolling 4 dice, and he needs 1 success. And he gets it. He gets exactly 1 success. Gets 1 5. So the zombie gets sucked back to Russia. And he doesn't get to seal the gate, unfortunately, but he does close it. And if we had any circle monsters out, which we don't, they would go away. And he gets to keep this. So he's got a couple of gate trophies. So he could look into doing some other things. There are different things you can do on the board, turning in gate trophies or monster toughness. You can turn in 1 gate trophy or 5 monster toughness to get a blessing like we've been doing. You could do 2 gate trophies or 5 toughness and 1 gate trophy to get an ally at Ma's boarding house. You can turn in 5 toughness or 1 trophy to get 2 clues at the science building. That can be handy. At the police station you can do 2 gate trophies or 5 toughness and 1 gate trophy to become the deputy of Arkham. And that's really, really handy if you can become the deputy of Arkham, because it allows you to, for one thing, it gives you, I believe, it gives you a weapon, and it gives you a card that is like a paddy wagon, so you can move anywhere in Arkham for free. So you essentially have free reign of movement all over Arkham. So that's always a good choice if you have that option. And Mandy is the Black Cave, so she's going to have an encounter there. A cave-in blocks the path you came in. Fantastic. Your only hope is to find another way out. Stay here next turn. So what you do to indicate that is you lay her down so that you know that when her movement phase comes, the only thing she can do for movement is stand up. This gets shuffled back. And that's the end of our Arkham encounters. Now we have Otherworld encounters. So Joe needs to draw a red or a blue card. So here's a blue card. There's Yogath and Solano listed, and he's not neither one of those. He's an other. So pass a luck -1 check to find something to defend yourself with. Take the first weapon from the common item deck. Okay, so he has luck. His luck is 1. -1 would be 0. So he wouldn't be able to roll on this check. But he has 6 clue tokens, and he only needs 5 to seal the gate. So now we can take advantage of his special ability. We can spend 1 clue token to not add just 1 die to the roll, but we can add 2 dice to his roll. So where he was before rolling 0, now he gets to roll 2. Sure, why not? And he fails. He rolls a 1 and a 3. That's almost good enough, but not quite, because he is blessed. So he only needs a 4 or 5 or 6. So we haven't used Mandy's ability this turn, so he's going to re-roll. And he gets a 1 and a 2, and he fails anyways. Great. Okay, so much for that. Waste of a clue token. No, it's never a waste, it's just strategy, and luck of the dice. And sometimes the dice don't like me. So now we have the Mythos Phase. And we get a gate in the woods, which was inevitable. This is to the city of the Great Race. This clue gets eaten. Num num num. We get a monster of some sort. We got a ghoul. And let's see. Square monsters and triangle monsters move, or not triangle, diamond monsters move white. We don't have any of those. Circle monsters move black. I believe he's a octagonal. He is octagonal. So no monsters move. A clue appears at the Historical Society. And we have a new environment. So we're going to replace this environment card. This is an urban environment. Happy days are here again. Due to the renewed prosperity that has come to Arkham, the terror level cannot increase. So that's nice and handy. We're not at risk of the terror level increasing right now, but who knows the next time we'll draw an environment card. We could draw different types of Mythos cards, and this one could stay out for a while. But that's how the game rolls in the middle. When you've got gates out, you've got people in other worlds, you've got people in Arkham, and you're dealing with closing gates, sealing gates. That's how it happens. I believe in the next video we're going to jump ahead to a final battle. Obviously not with Azathoth because he eats everyone's face. You can't have a final battle with him. But I'll pull out a different boss and we'll simulate a final battle so you know what it's like. But thanks for visiting the Dragon Table. I will see you next time.